Alrighty, people, our first Q&A of the year, and it
Come on,
is
baby.
complemented by some huge news in San
Huge.
Francisco.
That's
That
right.
news being, the saga is over. The drama has concluded. Brandon Aiyuk signs a 4-year, $120 million extension with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, a slightly under-discussed part of this news segment is RIP Pretty Ricky, who
Ricky.
has
Yep.
been campaigning,
Fucking GG's.
claiming all offseason that Brandon Aiyuk is
Hey.
going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Hey, it's Debo can still leave next year.
Well,
Get
that's
traded.
not at all what he was claiming. So everything that he was claiming did not happen. So
Did
that's
not
not
happen,
relevant to Ricky, unfortunately. Unfortunately, a little bit of his credibility might have taken a hit here. Maybe he made some good guesses. Hard to say. But Brandon Aiyuk is officially a San Francisco 49er.
Yeah.
And if you guys have been following along with the Flock League, I drafted Brandon Aiyuk in the Flock League in the 3rd round. And I had some people trying to bully me into trading him on the low. Okay?
He was shaking in his boots.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, I wasn't. I was consistently not understanding why people were putting Aiyuk so low in their rankings. It did not make any sense to me. In fact, we were on a stream yesterday. I was watching Mason's stream yesterday, Flock Fantasy, and we were talking about trades, and his entire stream is clowning me, telling me I have too high of a value on Brandon Aiyuk, telling me that Terry McLaurin's a fair offer, telling me that I'm asking for too much. I'm trying to screw people over. All right, well. Hello, big head. How y'all doing? I didn't understand. I guess people really thought he was going to hold out in season. I asked the question last night. I said, when is the last time in the last 10 years a wide receiver's actually held out in season? I know it's getting close to the time, but... So, hopefully, you didn't sell Aiyuk on the low. I got some pretty shocking offers, and we did not give in. We held on. But we are doing a Q&A today. Do us a favor. Go ahead and smash that like button. Brandon Aiyuk is a... not a Steeler, sorry. He's a Niner officially. And I feel pretty good about getting him where I got him in the Flock League. All right, this is a Q&A, y'all. Okay, so here's how it's going to go down. We're going to answer your questions from top to bottom. Okay, and if you want your question answered straight away, all you got to do is drop a super chat, any amount, whatever that looks like, and we will prioritize your question. Otherwise, we're going to go from top to bottom. We got a like goal today of 50 likes, so do us a favor and hit that like button as the stream starts. I appreciate y'all for helping this channel grow. You can see at the top of your screen, we are currently almost 500 subscribers away from 20K, so we're getting close. I appreciate y'all. All right, starting off the Q&A here with Mr. Green. He says, good to be back into fantasy football. You guys are the best. How are you guys feeling about Justin Fields not being the week 1 starter, stash, or fade? I'd say in 1 quarterback leagues, Justin Fields should be on the waiver wire. He should not be a rostered player, but in super flex formats, if you're playing in a super flex league this year, he should definitely be stashed.
Yeah, completely agree. Stashed him. I drafted him as my QB3 in a super flex league. My expectation has always been that Justin Fields is going to be starting in the second half of the season, and the fact that they were already struggling against the reports with Russell Wilson, and it wasn't a clear-cut thing, means that he could be getting on the field sooner rather than later. So we'll wait and see what that looks like with Jay Fields.
All right, Trent says all that drama for Aiyuk just to stay in San Francisco. What's up, Macy?
Honestly,
hey, where's the countdown, brother? You're slacking today. I'm kidding. He says, Zach Vadaki, what's your predictions on where Aiyuk finishes this year with the new deal? Will he move up your rankings? Well, look, I am definitely, flexing a little bit today with my belief in Brandon Aiyuk, because I don't have to move him up my rankings because I never moved him down my rankings personally. I never really believed, surely I was obviously concerned about all of the news that was going on, but I didn't see a reason to actually move him down my rankings. I truly didn't believe that this would go in season. You can't look at the last 10 years and tell me a holdout that's lasted in season for a wide receiver. It's not common. It doesn't happen. One side always bends to the other. So personally, I'm not moving him down my rankings. I have no reason to. He's my wide receiver 18. He remains my wide receiver 18. And if I look at my projections, I can tell you exactly what projections I have for him this year. But which is, I can bring that up right now for you. I currently have Brandon Aiyuk projected to see 23% of the target share, 82 catches for about 1150 and 8 touchdowns. How about you, Badaki? Did you move him up or down your rankings during this? Not to call you out, but just ask.
No. Yeah, no, for sure. I think for me, he definitely moves up. I was a little bit more skeptical on Brandon Aiyuk. I didn't know he was going to get signed, or I moved him down with the expectations of him going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he does move back up. I had to look at where he moves back up, which I haven't really done as of yet. But yes, he does move back up because I did have him significantly lower, once again, with the expectations of him going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, look, he definitely goes back up into my rankings. You said wide receiver 18. I would say this. I know I'm confidently taking him at that 2-3 turn, or maybe even higher, depending on how you feel about Brandon Aiyuk coming into the season now. I mean, you think about it. I would easily take Brandon Aiyuk over Chris Olave. Really just Chris Olave, who's at that 2-3 turn. So, and Devontae Adams at that 2-3 turn, Mike Evans at that 2-3 turn. You know, there's so many names at that range in a one quarterback league. So, yes, he does go back up my rankings.
I'm doing my Brandon Aiyuk dance here. Who else has Brandon Aiyuk and you've been holding on? Just waiting, baby. Dance with me. Joel says RIP Pearsall for redrafts. Honestly, yeah, big time. Elotez says Debo not skyrocketing up anyone's rankings anymore. Yeah, I didn't move Debo up or down my rankings, like I said, in the last month either from this. Spencer says he got Aiyuk in the 5th round. That's crazy. Jimmy Cheese says I'm in a start 3 wide receiver. Oh, I thought it start 3 overall. Okay. Start 3 wide receiver, 2 flex, half PPR. I'm pretty set on going CD at the 101, but can't decide who to go at the 2-3 turn. Any suggestions? Start 3 wide receiver league. Yeah, it's for sure. Like if London's there, you know, Debo, Aiyuk are definitely options there.
Yeah, 100%.
You got some running back names that come to mind, like an Etienne, a Henry at that turn. So, yeah.
Yeah, completely agree here.
Love it. Everyone's excited for Aiyuk. Joel says, what's the ceiling finish from Elite Neighbors? Is top 10 possible? Yes, I do think top 10 is possible. Ultimately, if you're going to see that much volume, it is possible. But you're going to have to expect a huge jump from Daniel Jones in efficiency and ball placement, which is possible, I guess.
It is possible. We have to wait and see what that looks like. But, I mean, he's really the only target in that offense. I would personally say top 15 feels more comfortable. Top 10 is a bit of a stretch there. Daniel Jones needs to take a huge step, and Malik Neighbors needs to be a god to finish top 10, in my opinion.
Yes. All right. The Roll FF says, mine drop in the league link. I'm trying to fill... What? I don't know what we're talking about here. Spencer says, what's y'all thoughts on Justin Herbert for Dynasty? He's a great buy low. Justin Herbert has been a great fantasy quarterback his entire career. And I think people are a little bit overestimating how little the Chargers are going to throw. They're going to have to throw the ball still, guys. So I think he's a great buy low.
as well. Completely agree. Alex.
Friendly reminder, guys, super chats will be answered straight away. I know you guys have a lot of questions. If time is of the essence for you, and you just want that priority, drop a super chat. Otherwise, we will go from top to bottom. So just keep that in mind. We'll go from top to bottom. And be a friend. Help us hit 50 likes. We're only 30 away. So be a friend and help us get to 30 likes here. Hit that like button. All right. Alec here is the next question. Go ahead.
Yeah, 12-man PPR, 3 wide receiver, 1 flex from the 110. Mahomes, Garrett Wilson, Marv, Aiyuk, Rice, Thomas, Polk, James Cook, Mostert. How'd I do? Looks great, brother. Looks great.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
I'm a fan of it. 12-man, 3 wide receivers. I don't love going Mahomes too early. Like, I think that's maybe the one part I would have rather just gotten like Kyler Murray later on, but and got an elite running back or wide receiver there. At tight end, who do we have? Remind me.
At tight end, he has Fant technically. So
See, I think I would much rather have gone elite tight end early in a draft
than the
quarterback, and
I
hit
think the
on
wide
a
receivers are
Tua,
pretty strong.
a Goff, a Daniels later on.
Yeah, wide receivers are strong, obviously, with Wilson, Marvin, Aiyuk, Rice, Thomas, who we all love here.
Yeah.
Jalen Polk, we love. Running backs, I think, is pretty decent as well with James Cook and Mostert. But yes, going one of those guys a little bit earlier is probably key. Chunk,
Chuck.
he said, what do you guys think of Tank as a wide receiver too and have PPR? I think it's great personally. I'm a big Tank Dell believer. So I will take him as my wide receiver too with confidence.
I would be much more skeptical as my 2. I would want him as my 3. 2
Mhm.
feels like
I
way
would say
too
this.
much confidence in him
You
personally.
you're probably not drafting him as your 2 though. Like I don't think
That's
we've ever
what he
seen.
just did, though. That's what he's
No,
asking about.
I'm saying like I'm confident, but like if you're taking him as your wide receiver 2, that means you're probably taking him a round and a half way too early. Do you get what I'm saying? Like I don't think anyone like in mock drafts Tank Dell is
Okay.
going in the third, fourth round. You normally get him in the fifth, or late fourth, fifth round, which as your wide receiver 3. But I'm confident in saying that I like Tank Dell as my wide receiver 2. But you shouldn't be drafting him that early. That's basically what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't be confident in him as my wide receiver 2. I would rather have him as a third option at best. I would need as a number 2 a Waddle, an Evans, an Olave, an Adams, a Diggs, a Debo, an Aiyuk, a Neighbors, Smith, Cooper, Cup. I just feel much more confident in those names. I think Dell could be that for you, but you are competing with a lot of good wide receivers for target share, so I'm more concerned than yourself. Josh says, offered Kamara and Brian Robinson for Saquon, and I honestly don't know what to do. What do you guys think? The question is, what does your starting lineup look like?
Yeah.
Are you in a start 7? Are you in a 10-man? Because, in that sort of format, yes, very easily I would take the Saquon side. But if you're in a 12-man, start 11, deeper leagues, like a big starting lineup, then no way I'm doing that.
Yeah, I agree. No way I'm doing that either. 7 days till kickoff. Daniel Macy said, Joe said, try to move Debo or no. I
No.
don't think you should be moving Debo. We're both pretty
Yeah.
confident in Debo and what he's going to be doing this year
I'm
still.
pretty confident in Debo. And by the way, if you wanted to move Debo, that you should have done that before the deal happened. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that was the
Yeah,
time
because
to
his value
extract
was
the most
higher.
value. That's when you
Yeah.
could have maybe tiered up to an AJ Brown. You could have tiered up to a Jefferson or a Wilson. That's not the case now, right? So you gotta make these moves when there's uncertainty in the air rather than certainty. Teabag says, I had to change to draft Devonta Smith, but I picked Rice for upside. What do you think about this decision?
I'm assuming a chance to draft Rashid Rice.
Oh, yeah. So
I mean,
I love Rashid Rice. He is a my guy this year, but based off ADP, I don't feel like you would have had to have done that. I feel like you could have got both. I haven't been in a draft yet where if you wanted both, you couldn't in like following rounds. So
Yeah,
just
I mean,
overall, I want to draft values based off ADP. I don't want to, you know what I mean? If you and I, Badaki, drafted exactly how our rankings looked, we would not be finding values on the board.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, look, I guess it just depends on how that board fell and what that looked like. But yes, I guess it's a little bit difficult. Parsons, he said, would you ever take a running back over CD at the 1 in a keeper league? And would you ever take a B? Yeah, take a RB over CD, I'm assuming. BR?
Guys, keeper leagues, you got to be more specific if there's a keeper league question. Just Parsons, so you know, every keeper league is different. Every keeper league has different settings. And everyone keeps different keepers, right? So it's hard to give you a good answer there without knowing who's on the board, who's taken, who's not taken. It's genuinely impossible to give you a good answer there. Adam says, got the 9 spot in my upcoming home league. What do y'all think in between Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, and Garrett Wilson? For me, this is still Justin Jefferson. But this is an argument, or not an argument, just a debate that Badaki and I have gone back and forth on all offseason. So personally, I am still Justin Jefferson over AJ Brown, over Garrett Wilson, but they're all in the same tier for me. What I will say is people are worried about Sam Darnold. Well, Nick Mullins last year helped Justin Jefferson average 18.8 PPR points per game. If Sam Darnold isn't an upgraded version of Nick Mullins, you might just have Nick Mullins, who is the quarterback 2 on the team. So to me, I think I'm still going Jefferson, but I can see why people are concerned.
Yeah, for me, it's AJ Brown. I think I want absolute guaranteed in that first round, even with AJ Brown or Garrett Wilson. So hopefully that helps there.
We did get a super chat, by the way. So
thank you.
Super chats will get answered straight away. They will get prioritized. We appreciate you, Cody. If you guys want to jump the queue, that's how you can do so. Cody says, just joined Flock Fantasy. What can I expect from your Dynasty team reviews? That's awesome, my man.
Yeah,
I appreciate
awesome.
you
Thank
big
you so
time. Yes, so essentially, when we are going to review your team, we'll go to our little My Review section, and then we will reply to you and let you know that, hey, so for example, we'll say, hey, we are about to review your team. And then that should send you an email, but we will thoroughly break down your entire team, tell you what direction you should go into, give you some trade ideas on how to improve your team, tell you where you are amongst your league, and break down, pretty much every asset, every facet as well of your league, and help you become a better player. If you guys want your team reviewed, all you got to do is become a Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. I just put a direct link in the chat for you if you'd like to sign up. A yearly member gets a free team review. But anyway, yeah. I appreciate you, Cody. Let us know if that answered your question. And if you've already signed up, but Aki, aren't we going live on the Dynasty channel after this to do team reviews?
Yeah, we should be. I haven't able to do that live stream because of this whole Brandon Aiyuk debacle. So
why don't you make that thumbnail for us now, just real quick, and I'll send people the link, because right after this stream we'll go live on the Dynasty channel and we'll review a bunch of people's teams. But appreciate the super chat, Cody. Super chats do skip the line. If you're going to pay to ask a question, we will absolutely prioritize your question. All right, next question in order from top to bottom is from Ashton. Says, got the 101 in a 3 wide receiver, 2 running back, 1 flex league. Hill, Lamb, or CMC, thank you. So 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, in a single flex, meaning you are probably in a start 3, 6, 8. Sounds like you're in a start 8. But you have to start 3 wide receivers. For me, I'm probably going CeeDee Lamb in that situation. I think CeeDee Lamb or Christian McCaffrey are both fantastic options. But for me, in a start 3 wide receiver, that would push me towards leaning CeeDee Lamb.
I would agree there.
Okay.
Nico Collins or Aiyuk?
Ooh, baby. I love that. These are the questions that are starting to pop in.
I mean, for me, it's been Nico Collins. I've always had Nico Collins ahead of Aiyuk even before this whole debacle. So for me, it's Nico Collins with confidence.
Well, I think it's a really good question, because I think you can. I think it is.
It's a great question.
I think you can make a lot of parallels between their situation, right? You think about it, for example, Nico Collins in a really good offense, in a crowded wide receiver room, who could be the number 1. Aiyuk in a really good offense, in a crowded wide receiver room, he could be the number 1. So you can draw a lot of parallels there, and I love that I drafted Aiyuk in the Flock League, and I love that people are now asking the question, Nico Collins or Aiyuk. Today is my favorite day of the offseason so far. We're loving today, okay? But no, I would still lean Aiyuk, but I absolutely love it. Oh my gosh. The GOAT himself, Sal, is on the channel, and he drops $100, brother.
That's crazy, brother. That's huge love, man. We appreciate you.
Content is great. Get these fellas to 20K. Keep crushing it, guys.
Hey, man.
I appreciate you.
Huge love.
We met Sal in Austin. He was he pulled up for the Flock Creator League, and you never really know what to think about, like, creators. You never know what people's vibes are.
I mean, that was the whole
sort it out.
Should we fill it out? What's gonna happen?
I don't want to, But Sal, I gotta say, dude, you were so cool. Like, genuinely so cool, so genuine, so down to earth. I genuinely really enjoyed hanging out with you.
Yeah, we walked out. I was like, dude, Sal's cool as fuck.
Oh yeah,
You know?
100%. We were like, Sal
Yeah.
is a cool dude, man.
Hell yeah.
So we appreciate you big time. I love when you meet up with the creator and you can talk about something other than football. Do you know what I mean? You're just like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah, 100%.
tell me about your
like,
life. Like, what's going on with this and that. So I appreciate you big time, Sal. That is
Yeah, man.
way generous, man. We appreciate you. And obviously
That's
you
mad
guys know Sal's channel. He is blowing up. He is 305 Mr. Worldwide on every platform. I mean, he is dominating Twitter. He's dominating YouTube. He's dominating every single platform. So I appreciate you big time, Sal. That's very,
Yeah, man,
very
man. Love you. Huge love, brother. Appreciate you. Hope
Very
to see you
kind.
next year as well.
Yes. Yearly tradition.
Hell yeah.
All right, next
Where are
question.
we
How
at
do we
now?
move on from that?
Yeah,
Like,
I know,
holy
right?
shit. I don't think we've ever had $100 donation. Like, act cool. No, this is
Yeah, I
normal.
know. This is normal. This is no big deal. 100.
Oh, people do this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Who do we live?
Jeremiah, I think.
Jeremiah. It said drafting at the 102 and the 10 team, have PPR, planning on going CD, Etienne, Devon, Cooper Cup if he's still there. Is that a good plan? I mean, look, if the board falls that way, I think it's a pretty good plan. But obviously, we always say go best player available according to whatever rankings you are following. So just really depends on how that looks like for you. But I
Yeah,
don't mind
and
taking CD at the 102, no doubt.
don't be surprised if CMC falls now that CD got the big old contract. But yeah, that's a fine plan as well. Joel says, what are the expectations for James Cook in year 3? Do we see another jump? You know, James Cook, I honestly didn't realize. I can't remember who to give credit for this. But did you guys realize how impressive James Cook was last year on the ground?
Dude, yeah, one of the
Like,
most
he
efficient
was
running backs
top-
on the ground.
Well, I just mean even yardage totals. He was top 4 in rushing yards in the NFL last year. I did not realize that.
He was, yeah, and he had like, if I'm not mistaken, 70 to 60 less attempts than some of these other top running backs as well. Like, he was phenomenal.
He was very good, and there was
yeah.
a big correlation between offense coordinator change as well. Like, if you look at the splits with the previous offensive coordinator versus when they changed to Joe Brady mid-season last year, he was a much better fantasy asset. So I would not be shocked if James Cook is a top 10 running back this year. It would not surprise me at all if the offense completely funnels through him.
Yeah, I completely agree. He was my guy last year. He's a my guy this year. I think he takes the next step and is no longer. He's going to be one of the top target, or I guess the guys in targets leading coming into this year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
On that team specifically.
Yeah.
Who
By
we
the
got?
way, Sal said, same boys, we'd be kicking it if you weren't 24 hours away. 100%. But Aki and I left like hanging out with you, and we were like, I'd hang out with him for sure. So that's awesome. We did get a donation. You're right.
Awesome.
Sorry, Badaki. Sorry to interrupt. We did get a
No, it's
donation
all
from
good.
Cash Money. Remember, guys, super chats will get your question answered straight away if you want to jump the queue. Otherwise, we'll go in order. Shout out to Cash Shmoney. Money. He says 10-man PPR, $100 buy-in. Lamar, CMC, Gibbs, Kyron, Collins, Moore, Pitts, Higgins, Swift, Addison, Palmer, Tua, Mason. Should I trade for a higher end wide receiver 1, or am I good? So your wide receiver 1 is Collins. You've also got DJ Moore. I'm assuming this is a start 7.
Yeah, I'm assuming that as well. Look, I'm happy to explore another wide receiver. Like if it's a start 7, that means you got another flex, right? Can you tier up at that flex position? But at the same time, you already have 3 running backs that could be really useful, where you don't really have to get that top 10 type of wide receiver. You have 3 top 10 running backs at the moment.
I'd like to package DJ Moore and Jordan Addison, for example, in a 10-manner. In a 10-man league, it looks like start 7, so it's a smaller league, so I don't worry about depth as much, and we can play the waiver wire. If we can package, let's say, Jordan Addison and DJ Moore, can we get into the Drake London range? Can we get into the Garrett Wilson range? Like, those are the type of deals is Jefferson a possibility? Those are the kind of deals I would just be exploring personally. But elite quarterback, tight end that I think has tight end 1 upside in Kyle Pitts. You drafted well. In fact, having CMC and Gibbs and then still having Collins is kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think so as well. So I don't think you actually have to make a move personally, because of how strong your running back room is. And like Zach said, if this is a start seven, I don't think you necessarily have to worry personally. So you continue to do your thing there.
We did get another donation from 369 Shimmy Shimmy Shine. He donated and he said Kyler or AR. I would have Kyler higher in my rankings. I don't know about you,
Yeah,
Badaki.
I agree.
Okay, we're not anti Anthony Richardson. Here's what I'll say: if you want to shoot for the moon and it's a start seven, go A Rich. He has the highest ceiling. Totally, we get that. But if you want like safety long term, I think Kyler's the play. He's a dark horse top 3 finish this year. People don't realize he's already had multiple years averaging over 20 points per game anyway, and he averaged more points per game than C.J. Stroud last year with Michael Wilson as his wide receiver one. And now he's got an upgrade with Marvin Harrison Jr., dude. So,
I mean,
yeah,
come on.
I love Kyler this year, but I can see how, AR has this ridiculous type ceiling. So,
Yeah.
again, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I would just say this, once again, we're not anti-AR. The ceiling is high, but if you want safety with that high upside ceiling, I think Kyler Murray brings that. Anthony Richardson could be a good rushing upside quarterback, but I mean, we saw the injuries last year. Can he bring his game to the next level in the passing game? We saw the preseason; it was a little bit of a struggle. I would personally go Kyler Murray there, but I mean, choose your poison as well. And you can
Yes.
get Kyler Murray a lot cheaper than where you can get Anthony Richardson right now as well.
Yeah, exactly. You can wait a couple more rounds and get better players and still get Kyler Murray. Appreciate the donations, guys. As y'all know, Super Chat does get your question answered straight away. We had a ridiculous donation from Sal. Appreciate you big time. But otherwise, we will go in order from top to bottom. Hit that like button to show some love. The next question at the top is from Trent. Says, where's the guy in yesterday's stream who said they didn't need Brandon Aiyuk? I think that was Jesus. And I need to figure out how Jesus feels about Aiyuk now.
Jesus, I saw him in, if I'm not mistaken, the Bravo. What's the Bravo League?
So every year in our follower leagues, we have people put their hot takes in the league. It's just really fun. We pin those comments and then we look at them at the end of the year. And funnily enough, this was Jesus's hot take this year. I don't know if y'all can see this. It says, Brandon Aiyuk will be the next Antonio Brown. You heard it here first. Ricky Pearsall will lead the Niners in catches, yards, and touchdowns the next him. And literally like minutes later, Brandon Aiyuk signs a long-term deal.
Like if you scroll down, look at the meme that he puts. I don't know if you can show or you can kind of see it.
Yeah, I think I can show y'all. Yeah. The diva got paid. He says RIP. See, Niner fans were just treating Brandon Aiyuk so poorly.
Spoiled.
What's up with y'all?
Spoiled is because they're spoiled. They're such a good franchise, a good organization. They have all these things. I saw a tweet where like, bro, it doesn't make sense how they're paying these people. If I'm not mistaken, what is it? Bosa, Fred Warner, Brandon Aiyuk.
Yeah, CMC, Kittle, Debo.
CMC. I mean,
they got to pay Trent Williams.
Yeah, here Debo, Trent, Hargrave, Fred Warner, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle. I mean, these guys are paying people right now. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
I know. We did get another super chat from Michael, so Michael is going to skip the queue here with his question. And his question is 10-man PPR start 8, trade Mixon, Terry Bowers for Garrett Wilson and Ingram. Is that a good trade? So you traded Mixon, Scary Terry, and Brock Bowers for Garrett Wilson and Evan Ingram. That
I mean
is interesting. Are you saying Terry or Bowers? Or are you saying Terry and Bowers, Michael? You don't have to super chat to reply. Just reply because that's important to know.
I would say without context here, if you have, let's say you got Joe Mixon somehow as your RB3, or let's say you have Devon and then you also got a Zamir White and you traded away Mixon to go get a Garrett Wilson, I think that's okay at the moment, but it just really depends to me on your running backs in this start 8 because it is a fairly small league technically.
It is Terry and Bowers, by the way. So it's Mixon, Terry, and Bowers for Garrett Wilson and Ingram. Man, I know everyone hates Mixon this year. I just think he's going to be so good.
Well, I love Mixon, but I think I like Garrett Wilson more, especially over Terry and Bowers.
I do too.
And I think it's a significant tier up from Evan Ingram.
If you have enough, if you feel comfortable with your running back room post Mixon, do this deal. However, I think you could ask for like Surely this guy's got a Rico Dowdle on his roster. Surely this guy's got a Chase Brown,
Yeah.
one of these really low tier running backs that you can get back in return. But overall, I think this makes sense in a smaller league, 10-man, and
Does it have
start
Mostert, Stevenson, JT, and Brian Robinson? I'm doing that every day then.
Okay, yeah, we'll take
I'm doing that
Garrett,
every day.
but still counter if he's got one of those Dowdles, Chase Browns, counter and try and get one of those type of players on your team as well.
No, I think
Again,
it's a good trade.
appreciate you guys big time for the super chats. Almost 100 people watching here. Do us a favor, hit that like button. Like goal today is 50 likes. Appreciate the super chats big time. You guys are great. And those super chats will skip the queue. Otherwise, we'll go in order. And the next question in order is from Londonville. England is my city. If you know, you know. Go ahead.
What's good, bruv? I have a Packers homer draft before me in round 3. If I wanted Jacobs, I pick 7th for context. I feel like I had to take him in round 2 unless someone else I like more is their thoughts.
I've been Team Jacobs all offseason, and he has been rising even in my rankings. I feel like I've had him ranked pretty high. He's been my RB 13, I think, before all the injury news from the rest of the backfield. He's now my RB 10, and that does put him in like late second round range for me. I don't think it's crazy to take him there if you really believe in him.
Yeah, and look, I would say this: if you want Josh Jacobs, sure, you can go ahead and take him. But I think you still have great talent that can fall to you. I mean, we just talked about James Cook. We just talked about Joe Mixon. We haven't even talked about Alvin Kamara. If I'm assuming if this guy wants Josh Jacobs or he takes Josh Jacobs, potentially Rachaad White is also available for you as well. So, I mean, maybe don't force it too much, but we don't mind taking him as well.
Let's look at a real draft. This was a flock league. Actually, this is not a good example because all these dudes drafted like it was best ball. Let me look at our quarterback.
We don't have any one quarterbacks. Yeah, home league. Let's have a look.
Our home league, a lot changed since we drafted, but the reason I'm pointing this out is because if you're taking him late second round, you have to ask the question of all these other names. So let's do this exercise together then. Josh Jacobs or Drake London.
Josh Jacobs or Drake London. I'm taking Drake London.
I agree. Josh Jacobs or Devon Achane.
I'm taking Josh Jacobs.
I am too. I've had it that way for a while, so that's good to hear. Deebo Samuel or Josh Jacobs.
That's pretty even, I think.
I agree.
That's
I think it depends on what position you want to build around.
Yeah, 100%. That's like perfect on par.
How about Nico Collins or Josh Jacobs? You're Nico, I assume.
I'm Nico, yeah. I'm Nico for sure.
So, yeah, I think hopefully that helps answer your question. I am Jacobs over Pacheco. I am Jacobs over Achane. I would take Jacobs over Adams, for example, especially in half PPR. So hopefully that is helpful.
Yeah, appreciate you, man.
All right, next question here is from Ronald.
Shout out to Ronald. How you doing? They said, how are we two feeling about Pickens now with Russ guaranteed? Doesn't change anything for me. I've always kind of been steering clear of George Pickens. Don't necessarily personally care if it's Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. I think there's going to be a lot of inconsistencies. So I'm still avoiding depending on where you can get him.
The George Pickens season is on, ladies and gentlemen. We do not have to worry about Brandon Aiyuk. I just realized this is my favorite day of the entire offseason. I drafted Brandon Aiyuk in the Flock League. I'm feeling good about it. And now I don't got to worry about Brandon Aiyuk for George Pickens. Y'all know I love George Pickens this offseason, specifically when he falls in the 5th and 6th round. I'm not taking him in round 3 like you crazy people on Underdog. But in home leagues, when he's available around 5 and 6 and he can be your wide receiver 3, it is found money on the ground. You're walking, you say, oh, there's a $20 bill. Is anybody around? Did anybody drop that? No, I'm just going to pick it up and put it in my pocket. I love George Pickens this year. He was number 1 in yards per reception last year. And I know people say, well, that means he relies on big plays. Sure, I can see where you're coming from. Hopefully the guys you're drafting, you would want to be able to have big plays in their arsenal, right? But the reality is now Deontay Johnson's gone. 22% of the target share is now up for grabs. Pickens is going to feast. I can't tell you that he's going to be a top 20 wide receiver. I can tell you he's going to be the guy. He has every opportunity now, and the upside is there. Even if you hate George Pickens, you have to sit here and recognize there's an upside that interests you. Even if you hate the guy, you have to recognize there's an upside there that has got to interest you. And he was one of the better receivers on a per catch basis anyway. What can you do with more volume?
What can
Guys,
you do?
He had over 1,100 yards catching the ball from Kenny Pickett. From Mason Rudolph. It was the worst
Russell
quarterback
Wilson.
room in the NFL last year, including the
Russell Wilson
Jets.
looking like Kenny Pickett.
Anyway,
Russell Wilson about to be out like Kenny, about to be a backup like Kenny. Anyways, we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
I'm avoiding George Pickens, especially in that 5th round. Devonta Smith, T. Higgins, Tank Dell goes in the 5th round. I think all those guys have tremendous upside. I doubt you can get Rashee Rice in the 5th round nowadays.
I don't ever see Pickens going ahead of those names that you just
No,
mentioned,
no. I was gonna say, like, I think I would rather have those guys. So he doesn't go ahead of them. Just saying in the sense of, like,
okay.
if I'm looking at the board, I'm taking all those guys over George Pickens, probably most likely, as a lot of these people. But hopefully
The George
that helps.
Pickens narrative is on for people who are like me.
We did get a super chat from G16. We appreciate you. If you guys want to skip the queue, all you have to do is drop a super chat. He says, need help with my draft strat. Half PPR start 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 3 flex spots. 10 teams start 7. How high are you prioritizing quarterbacks over early wide receivers and running backs?
Keep in mind, this is not a super flex. This is a 2 quarterback, meaning you got to field 2 quarterbacks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A start 10-man 2 quarterback league. So in this format, I probably am trying to get 2 quarterbacks in the first 3 rounds.
Where are you drafting from?
Like, let me show you the Superflex League, for example, that we just drafted in yesterday, Real Money League. This is Superflex. And in Superflex, you can let quarterbacks fall because you don't technically have to start a second, right? So, like, in this Superflex draft, I went Mahomes at the 103 and then just kind of took 2 guys I thought were fine in the 9th and 11th round. I can't do that in a 2 quarterback league. I cannot afford to make that mistake. I got to get a quarterback 1 and 2 in the first 3 rounds, in my opinion, because you have to start those guys, and quarterbacks score more points than any other position.
Yeah, completely agree. Lock up your quarterbacks in the first 3 rounds, especially if you're on the turn there, or, middle rounds is a little bit tough, but you're going to see all these values of players. But just remember, if you don't have that quarterback, you're going to be really, really disadvantaged. You don't want to start Patrick Mahomes and then have like an Aiden O'Connell or a Gardner Minshew or a Justin Fields. You got to lock it up. You have to lock it up.
And I will say, it helps that it's a 10-man. In a 12-man, I'm probably going quarterback back-to-back in the first 2 rounds. In a 10-man, I think you can stretch that a little bit.
You can stretch it a little bit.
But don't play too many games, because if you play dumb games, you win dumb prizes.
Dragon, thank you
for the
so
donation,
much.
man. Appreciate
Yeah.
you.
2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 flex. I got a second pick in a 12 PPR pros and cons about Breece Hall number 2, and what strategies with that pick would y'all recommend or change? I got the second pick in a 12.
So it's a 12-man,
2, 4,
but
5?
it's a start 7.
Start
flex.
7?
So it's a very small league. Yeah, start 7 here, right? Because he's not telling us quarterback and tight end, but he's starting a quarterback and tight end. So
Yeah,
it's a start 7 league. I would probably. So if CMC's not there, I don't think you can pass on Lamb though, even in this format.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, if CeeDee Lamb is there, even in this smaller format, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go CeeDee Lamb there. I love Breece Hall, but you can still get really good running backs on the turn. Like, could you get Devon? Can you get Joe Mixon? Can you get Derrick Henry? Sometimes he falls. If I'm not mistaken, some of those guys do fall there at that turn. Just really depends on how your league is going. Like, we look at the mock draft that we did recently. Rashad White, Isaiah Pacheco's at that 2-3 turn. I'm assuming you have the 102. Josh Jacobs could definitely fall to you at that 2-3 turn. So just depends.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would still go Lamb there. Like, if CMC falls to you, great. Otherwise, don't overthink it. Lamb probably is going to score more points than any running back outside CMC anyway. So sometimes we can overthink these things. But what I would say is if CMC's there, great, grab him. If not, I would go Lamb, and then I would look to double tap running backs in rounds 2 and 3 probably with like a Henry Jacobs, if that makes sense, like that combo. So
Yeah. Back to the top, guys. If you want to skip the queue, all you have to do is drop a super chat. Shore says, "Hey fellas, I love the content put together with the flock. Hey, we appreciate you. Thank you so much." Scribbles,
it was very fun.
Lad, yeah, it was awesome. By the way, I can't wait to do that again if we do. Lad McConkey or Brian Thomas Jr. redraft for me is BTJ. What about you?
Same. Yeah, I've got Brian ridiculously high in my rankings. He's my wide receiver 30. I think in ESPN Sleeper and Underdog, he's like wide receiver 45 or something. So I am very, very high on him.
Yeah, I like him as well here. All right, next question. Lewis, Chase fell to the 9 in my draft, starting to get a little stressed. Any reassurance news, or is Bengals front office pretty stern on him not paying him? Look, I have the exact same situation. Or I'm in the exact same situation in one of our home leagues. I got Jamar Chase at the 9 as well. At the moment, I don't feel too stressed because of my team build. Like I have Puka. I also have Nico Collins. It kind of fell to me in my home league. So it just depends on your team build. But like if you're telling me you have Jamar Chase and then you have like an Amari Cooper or a Terry, then maybe I'm a little bit more concerned about how this is going to pan out. But I do believe he does play.
I'm gonna say the same thing I was saying the entire time about Brandon Aiyuk, which is I don't believe that this is gonna get into the season. So Jamar Chase at the 9 would be a huge value in my opinion. I know, guys, we're getting so close to the season and it feels like oh my gosh, everything is falling apart. I would encourage you, tell me a single time in the last 10 years a wide receiver has actually held out in season. Tell me a time that's happened. And remember, just one day ago, everyone thought that was going to happen with Aiyuk. Ultimately, these two teams, someone folds. It just happens. Someone folds. The team folds, the agent folds, the player meets their demands, and they figure it out. So overall, I don't think you should be worried about Chase at 9. I think you should be cheering about Chase at 9. That's a huge, huge value in my opinion. And by the way, even if he misses a game, like think about it. Week 2 onwards, are you not going to be excited about having Jamar Chase? You're excited.
I actually think it's a huge strategy now to lose. To lose week 1 because you want to get Puka Nakumas, you want to get the Kyron Williams. I don't know.
You can think of it that way.
I'm not saying I'm going to lose, but I'm just saying like that's kind of crazy.
You're also going to make it much more difficult to make the playoffs, but I hear you.
Yeah. We did get a super chat though from Fun. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. He said Kyler, Stroud, Gibbs, Eckler, Chubb, Puka, Aiyuk, DJ Moore, D Hop, Addison, Brian Thomas, Colt 12 team Superflex Dynasty Star 10. Move my 25 first or running back and contend. Or for a running back and contend. No 26 first or second.
I don't think I would. No, I don't think I would. I would just roll with what you have right now. Overall, I'm not a big fan of like sending a future first to contend because the reality is, I mean, I've done this so many times in the past in Dynasty Leagues where I'm like, yeah, my team is contending. And I'll go out and I'll spend my picks and I'll go get a running back and that running back tears their ACL. And then other players on my team get injured. And then I'm like, damn, would have been nice to have that first round pick to get some youth on this team. So, no, overall, I don't think you should. Like, look, if it's week 10 and it's you and one other guy with the best teams and you want to go out and really go hard, I would say no.
Yeah, I would say no as well.
Overall, I like to keep my firsts. It's very rare I will send them unless it just makes sense for my team.
I would say this, like, if you really want to compete, and you have like a third or something, can you send like a third for one of these low end running backs? Like, can you get a third and get, which I doubt you can, but can you send a third and get a Gus Edwards? Can you send a third and get a Chuba Hubbard? Can you get a third and send Jaleel McLaughlin, a J.K. Dobbins, a Chai Chandler? Like, maybe that's a different way you can go instead of sending your first to just get that depth. And maybe one of these guys hit, and maybe not. You just send a third though.
I'm not sure I would go that route personally, just because I don't think those guys are actually going to be real contenders to help you win a championship. but
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea. I just don't like the players mentioned. Like for me, instead
Sure.
of those players, I would send
You
like
can
a
go
second.
higher.
I would send like a second for Zamir White or Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I was saying you can do
Like
that.
I'd send a maybe a third for Brian Robinson if that's an option, or a
I guess,
third for
I was
Aaron
just
Jones.
yeah.
I don't think you sending a third for any of those names is really going to make an impact on your
I
team.
was just saying I was saying a third, but yes, I was saying a third because he said he didn't have a second, but maybe he has a second in 25. So,
Yeah.
I agree. I get what you're saying there.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the next question. Thank you for the donation. Donations will get answered straight away. Otherwise, we will answer in order. Alex is the next question in order. And Alex says, I got Mahomes at the 5-10. He fell so far to me. I had to. Can't blame you there.
Yeah.
And Shore says, I think I'm ready to go all in. I think we answered this. Yes, we answered that question
Yeah, we
just
did.
then. Appreciate you, Shore.
Um,
Eric says, any
Eric.
buy lows with to target in trades before the season? Perfect. I got a video coming out for you in the next couple days. All right, stay tuned to the channel. That's either Sunday or Monday your time. I got a video already recorded, already ready to go. 10 players to buy before the season begins. All right.
Yeah.
So stay tuned to the
Har-
channel. Turn the notifications on so you don't miss it.
Yeah, Harrison says thoughts on Rasheed Rice as a wide receiver 2 in the 14 league, fifth round. I think that makes sense.
14, yeah, 14 is going to be much more difficult to build teams that look nice, right? So, yeah, overall, you're going to have a worse team than a 12 or 10 man. And as far as Rasheed Rice goes, I'm a huge fan of him. I'll say this: if he's your wide receiver 2 and you already have a good running back, a good tight end, I feel good about that. But if he's your wide receiver 2 and you're in round 3, I don't know. And Rasheed Rice is my guy this year. I just don't know if that's
He
how I
said
want to
fifth
build my
round.
team. Fifth
He
round,
said fifth
perfect.
round.
You got a steal.
I think that. Yeah, and especially in the 14-man league. Mr. Messiah, he said 10-man PPR, CMC, Martin Harrison, Devontae Adams, Brandon Aiyuk, Sam Laporta, Zamir White. I'm assuming this is your team. I think it looks good, unless there's a question that you have.
Yeah, looks
I
good.
personally, I'm not a big Devontae Adams guy, but Zamir White, but I like everyone else.
Yeah, overall, I think it looks good too.
Ian, what do you think about Marvin Harrison over Travis Etienne or Kyron Williams? Well, I would take Marvin Harrison over both of those guys. That's kind of where he's going. I think there's an argument to take Kyron. Well, maybe not anymore with this punt return stuff, but yeah, Marvin Harrison over both of those guys, full PPR. Do you agree?
That reflects ADP and that reflects my thoughts as well. So I agree.
Yeah. Thoughts on CD, Dak stack in 24 between Kyler and Dak. For us, we always say we don't force stacks. It's not something that we're trying to go out and do in our drafts, but if it happens naturally, sure. Dak
is in that range of quarterbacks where, like, let's go back to that home league draft, for example. This is Badaki and I's home league. We drafted this about a week and a half ago. So Dak Prescott was the quarterback I ended up with. But I got him in like the 12th round, for example. Let me hide our faces real fast. You can see this is my team right here. We ended up getting Dak Prescott in round 12. So absolutely, I'm open to Dak Prescott being my quarterback 1, but I'm not going to draft him in the 6th round just because I have CeeDee Lamb. I'm not going to draft him in the 7th round just because I have CeeDee Lamb. If Dak goes off the board, then maybe Burrow's there, or Jordan Love, or Jaden Daniels, or Brock Purdy, or Tua later on. So totally okay with it. All I'm trying to say is don't force it just to get the stack, like Badaki mentioned.
Yeah. I think we answered sure. Nate, one quarterback dynasty, Olave or Aiyuk. Interested to hear your thoughts. For me, it's Brandon Aiyuk. I'm not a big Olave guy.
That's a tough question.
It is a tough question. I'm actually curious to see where Keep Trade Cut has him.
It would be too early to reflect.
Yeah, it would be. But let's see if it's Aiyuk or Olave right now over Brandon. So Brandon Aiyuk, wide receiver 16 on Keep Trade Cut. Chris Olave, wide receiver 14. Yeah, look, that makes sense. For me, Brandon Aiyuk has always been ahead of Chris Olave in Dynasty. I love his situation better. I like his situation. I like his quarterback play. I think that's going to be, he's the long-term answer. Deebo Samuel is an older, wide receiver, 28, 29 years old by the end of this season. Do they move on from Deebo Samuel? Do they move on from George Kittle? Just more opportunity, in my opinion. Chris Olave, it's not about the talent, which I have a video coming out on Fancy Never Stops about Chris Olave, or he's on that list. It's not about the talent, it's about the situation.
I would still have Olave slightly over Aiyuk. I personally don't foresee them moving on from Kittle and Debo, and maybe if they do, I'll be wrong, and I'll hold my hand up. But I think at this moment, I project this to be the team for the next couple years, and Olave is a candidate to get 140 targets any single year. And we're one move like the Falcons made last year, where a quarterback change happens, where everyone's obsessed with Chris Olave again, just like they are with Drake London. So
Sure.
I think Chris Olave is just is someone I'm willing to hold. But here's what I'll say: Olave and Aiyuk are in the same exact category for me. They're in the same exact tier. So if you're telling me you can tier down from one to the other, or vice versa, and you can get more value, or you can get extra second instead of third, then that's how I would play it either way, if that makes sense. All right, moving on to the next question here is from LT. He says, dodge a bullet in a Survivor League where I'm leaning on Aiyuk this season. I love that. Dark Star says, thoughts on Jamal Williams now that Kendre Miller is out? Here's my thoughts.
No thoughts.
That's my official thoughts. What's up?
No thoughts for me.
Hey, I'm pretty sure this is Sammy. What's up, Sammy? Welcome in, brother. It's good to have you here, man. I love Sammy. That's our editor, by the way. If you love MMA, give him a sub.
Hey, he's rough. We gotta make him like a. We gotta make him a.
How do we do that? We'll make him a thingy.
A thingy.
We're so bad at moderating our chat, by the way.
I know. We need to just make. We need to get mods.
Yeah, we probably do need mods at some point. Here, I can.
You can add Sammy. I feel like we need to add Sammy, Val, the domain boys. Yeah, you should add all the boys, right? Sammy, Sal, domain, FSC, Mason. Just go through all that. I can't believe we actually never.
Yeah, we should probably figure that stuff out. Okay, it says I made him a moderator. I don't know. We don't know what we're doing. We have no idea what we're doing. Sorry, guys. Anyway, Scooby says, not a fantasy question. How y'all doing? We're doing good, man.
Yeah, doing great, man. Thank you so much.
This is my favorite day of the offseason, like I said, because I do love George Pickens this year, and I drafted Aiyuk, so I'm feeling pretty great.
This time next week, we will be watching football. The Kansas City Chiefs, Baltimore Ravens. Like, think about that. In a week from now.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It is pretty mental. Mark Andrews or Trey McBride. They're in the same tier for me. I think with the Andrews injury, you could lean McBride at this point.
Yeah, I have McBride over him there.
T-Bag says, rate the team.
Rate my team.
Good team. These rate the team ones are a little bit difficult, y'all, because, I mean, you want us to read out every single player, you know. But it depends, like, how big is your league? What's the starting lineup? But overall, I would say it's a good team. You're betting on Caleb Williams. That's a little scary. I would probably prefer to have a Jared Goff on my bench or a Justin Herbert as insurance. What's up, Styles? Welcome in. Dom says Audric or Jaleel. This is Jaleel for me. Jaleel 100%. Was very efficient with his touches last year. Nobody targeted the running back position more than the Broncos last year. And Samaje Perine, who had 58 targets, is gone. So I think Jaleel is really exciting in PPR formats.
Jaleel, he's been one of my late round sleeper running backs I've been drafting. I feel like in almost every league, if it hits, I'm going to feel so good about it. So Jaleel for me.
Cody says it did. Thank you. We'll purchase one later tonight. That's awesome. Cody, if you're still with us, just make sure you use the code LAND when you sign up. I think we answered G16, right?
G16. Yeah, we answered short as well. Super sick to grow. It's awesome to see. Ronald said, thank you so much. Where's the Longhorns cap? Cameron.
I can put it on if you want.
12 teams start a PPR. Running backs are Kyron, Monty, Corn, Chubb. Should I look to upgrade through trade after Kyron News? No. 12 teams start 8. No, I don't think you have to.
I think, like, I've been releasing ranking videos the last 3 days, and some people aren't actually listening to the words that I say. And I'm not saying you aren't, Cameron, but just looking at the YouTube comments, it's so obvious some people aren't actually listening to anything I'm saying when I'm talking about adjusting Kyren in my rankings. Because at no point do I say I'm panicking on Kyren. At no point do I say he's drastically falling down my rankings. But we're just slightly adjusting expectations. And Cameron, you did the right thing. You got Blake Corum and Kyren Williams. Everyone's going to tell you, well, you're playing scared. You play to win the game. As if they know exactly how the NFL season is going to pan out. It's okay to get the best handcuff in fantasy football on your team after drafting a player who has a lot of question marks. Like, I don't know. I think you did it right, man.
I think you did it right as well. Don't stress about it. Don't worry. And yeah, you have the handcuff. ATJ, what is one player you're scared to be wrong about this season?
That's actually a very good question.
Who am I scared about?
I would say CJ Stroud. Just in the sense of like, I still think CJ Stroud's going to be very good, but I've constantly been advising people to not take him in round 5 or 4 and instead take Jordan Love down the board, Dak Prescott down the board, Joe Burrow down the board, Brock Purdy down the board. So overall, I would say if CJ Stroud ends up being quarterback 1, I'll look like an absolute clown. I'll say that for sure.
Yeah. The first person that came to mind for me is Devon.
Devon A. Chan. Okay.
Yeah, I think everyone is really big on Devon. I think there's a split community, but like I guess I wouldn't be alone.
Yeah.
When it comes down to me being wrong about him, but
yeah,
I don't really have that big of a scare. Or maybe Anthony Richardson is a good one because I've been off Anthony Richardson for a while.
Sure.
And if we see a 17-game season from Anthony Richardson, that can be a huge downfall. But we'll see.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, catching up with the chat. Remember, Super Chat does get your question prioritized to the top of the queue. Davis says, should I draft a wide receiver or running back first? Davis, I got to be honest with you, my man. We need some more information to give you a good answer. I want to give you a good answer. I want to help. But with such little information, it's hard to actually give you the right answer. Here's what I will say. There's a video out on the channel, and it is literally the perfect video for anyone who wants to know how I would draft regardless of their league. And that video is called The Best Strategy for Every Single Fantasy Football Draft. If you're in a 10-man, if you're in a 12-man, if you're in a start 8, start 9, start 7, this is a video for you to watch. It'll tell you exactly how I would draft if I was in your league. So make sure you give that a watch. Hopefully that's helpful. Sorry, man. What's up, Brizzleton? Welcome in. Brizzleton says, new job, new house, about to get a fresh fade. Love the content.
Hey,
love
come on.
the growth.
Talk it up. Always feels good.
Prosperity and prosperity. Okay. Next question is Brock or Ferg for week 1?
For me, it's Ferguson. We have to wait and see what Brock Bowers does at first. I think he could come out firing on all cylinders. Just really depends. He's playing the Chargers, but for me, it's Jake Ferguson.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Ferguson is set to have a big year, and with a guy like Brock Bowers, you kind of want to see it before you trust it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Next question here is from
for Aiyuk
Phil.
Or Waddle. Yeah, Aiyuk or Jalen Waddle. For me, this is Brandon Aiyuk.
Yeah, I love Aiyuk.
Like Waddle.
This is Waddle for me.
Yeah, I like Waddle.
I think the reason I am Waddle over Aiyuk is because of how these two offenses operate. San Francisco thrives off of efficiency. They don't thrive off of volume. Miami was the best passing offense in the NFL last year. Tua led the league in passing yards. And Tua, like, Waddle has a chance to hit 140 targets. That's not a crazy thing to say. If Brandon Aiyuk had 140 targets, he'd probably be the wide receiver 1. But last year, he only had 104. So he more has a ceiling of like 120, 115. So that's why I feel more comfortable with the Waddle, because you're facing competition in all of these offenses, but I think there's more reliable volume with Jalen. So love both of the players, but I would go Waddle myself.
By the way, North Dakota State and Colorado playing. Giants' new QB1.
Love it. By the way,
field.
Brandon Aiyuk accepted the 49ers' original 4-year offer that had been there for weeks. So, yeah, it looks like the Niners said, "This is it, brother. Make a decision."
You want to go to Pittsburgh or you want to stay here with Brock Purdy, huh? You want to stay
Yeah.
in a nice, beautiful San Francisco, or you want to go
Uh,
to the Steel City?
San Fran's been getting a little ripped apart lately as a city. I love it. I love that city. I hope they're gonna figure it out.
I don't really know anything about San Francisco. So, anyways,
Just yeah. Cash Money, appreciate you, my man. Jason says Garrett Wilson or Puka Nakua as your wide receiver 1. Garrett Wilson.
yep, Garrett Wilson.
I have Aiyuk ranked as my wide receiver 18. You have him as your wide receiver.
Around there. I haven't technically moved him yet.
Okay.
He was my wide receiver 20, so I'm assuming he's going to be 18 or 17 or 16.
Okay.
I just haven't done that as of yet.
Okay, sure.
Um,
Go ahead and take some of these questions. I'll be right back.
Yeah, he says best draft strategy for 12-man non-PPR star 12. Hey man, Zach released a phenomenal video. #1 draft strategy. We really, you should really go check that out. Zach really breaks that down. Start 7, 2 flex. Start 8, 3, whatever the case may be. It's all there on that video. So hopefully that helps. Danny, who's your sleeper for a quarterback and tight end? Mine's Trevor Lawrence and Tyler Conklin. For me, it's Will Levis as a sleeper at the quarterback position. At the tight end position, look, hey, there is a bunch of tight ends that I do like coming into this year. For me, I guess coming in, it was Jake Ferguson real early, but that kind of fell off. But at the moment, I would say Luke Musgrave is a good tight end sleeper. I don't think he's getting the respect that, this is a Green Bay offense that have multiple wide receivers, Wicks, Reed, Watson. You have Josh Jacobs here, so he kind of gets lost in there. But we can see him at any given week could be a top 10 tight end, which could be pretty good. For me, Will Levis and Luke Musgrave there. Best 2 quarterbacks to grab in Superflex League. Honestly, man, that's a loaded question because I can tell you the best 2 quarterbacks you should get is Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. But it just really depends on how the board falls to you and what that looks like in your league. So if you have some good quarterbacks that do fall to you, I'm just trying to pull up a mock draft really fast or one of our home drafts.
What's
if you can get, I'm answering best 2 quarterbacks to grab in Superflex. I was like, that's kind of any quarterbacks could potentially be to go to quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen are 2 good quarterbacks, right? Yeah. So it just really depends.
Well, I think if you start with one of the elite names like Allen, Hurts, and Mahomes, if you compare him with a Purdy, a Tua,
Purdy,
a Daniels, a Goff,
yeah.
that's great. Otherwise, you can go one name to anchor the quarterback room and hit on a quarterback late, like a Stafford, a Cousins, a Geno, a Levis, a Watson, a Mayfield. So yeah.
Yeah. Next question is 10-team PPR dynasty. Should I trade Rachaad White for Javonte Williams, Brian Robinson, and a late 25 first? Wow.
I'm shocked that you can get that much. So yeah.
Yeah, I would think I would 100% do that, especially in this 25 class that has really good running backs. Sean,
yeah, that's an easy yes.
If you're trying to win this year, what kind of trades would you be doing if you're trying to sell Micah Evans? If you're trying to win this year, maybe Mike Evans is not the guy you should be selling at the moment, to be completely honest with you. He's a veteran guy, unless, I think if you're selling Mike Evans, maybe you should be pivoting towards picks potentially. You should try to get, maybe seconds or a couple seconds, however way that looks. But trading one of these veterans to then pivot to a rookie, that might be very difficult because you don't know that upside of that rookie,
Yeah, I agree. Achan or Jacobs, we would go Jacobs, but a lot of people would say Achan. Dom says, I'm streaming defenses and wondering who to start. I'm thinking Bengals. That's great, Dom. That is one of my #1 suggestions in an upcoming video if you want to stream kickers and defenses. Guys, I have a very good video. I think it's the most comprehensive video before week 1 starts of players to add, beating the waiver wire, beating the next breakout, streaming options, etc. So stay tuned to the channel here, either Monday or Sunday.
I feel like maybe that should just be out. Like, I don't know, we'll talk about it.
I'm just gonna stick to the schedule at this point, I think.
Yeah. Where we at? Michael, Terry, and Bowers. Okay, we have that question.
All
All
glory
glory.
to Hypnotoad.
I'm in a keeper league. Would you keep Calvin in the 13th and have a fifth round pick, or keep Chris Olave in the fifth and have a 13th pick?
Calvin, just based off of the
Yeah,
value.
yeah.
Appreciate you, Don, although we'd love to hang out with
Awesome,
you all
man.
too.
It's a good draft running backs, 12-man league. Trey Benson, Ray Davis, Kenneth Walker, and Spears.
What do you think the question is here?
Like, is this a good running back room in a 12-man league? I mean, this is a young running back room with Benson. I think you have Kenneth Walker and Tajay Spears out of your starters, and then Trey Benson that's going to emerge to be your starter
I'd
in the
say
second half of the season.
it's a high upside running back room. I wouldn't call it a good one.
Sure.
Pug says, can you explain to me why Brees Hall is valued so high this year? I'm new to fantasy. Well, Brees Hall is an all-world talent at the running back position, and he finished as an RB2 last year on one of the worst offenses in the NFL, and we want to project 1 year to the next. This year, we're projecting Aaron Rodgers to hopefully be healthy, meaning that offense is going to be much better in New York, and Brees is going to continue to feast.
All right.
A lot more touchdown opportunities.
The 49ers offered Denver a third-round pick for Cortland Sutton with the intent of shipping Aiyuk to Pittsburgh as a part of a three-way deal.
Yeah, I saw that. Hey, pretty nutty.
Gosh, man, there's Cortland Sutton and then Aiyuk. Gosh,
Well, Cortland, Aiyuk wouldn't have gone to Denver. He would have gone to Pittsburgh.
Aiyuk would have went to Pittsburgh and Cortland would have went to the 49ers.
Yeah.
And then
But-
Denver would have had nobody.
Yeah, but it didn't happen. So, GG's. Let's see. What says, do I take a wide receiver with pick 3 in a non-PPR league? No, I take a running back in a non-PPR league. T-Bag says, guys, Jaden Reed or Watson? I'm going Jaden Reed, but Watson is an easier pick down the board.
All right. I heard a noise.
That's okay. Let's see. Prim says, one quarterback tight end premium, Njoku and Hopkins versus Swift and Conklin. I'm pretty indifferent on this one, to be honest. I don't have a strong opinion either way. Because I honestly don't have like a strong conviction on any of these players. I'm not really like someone who's team any of these players, but I would say there's probably more value overall with the Njoku side, unless this is a large lineup. So yes. Johnny Boy says, do you think Christian Watson and Brian Thomas Jr. are good bench duo? Yes, they are. Shaheed is not even in the same conversation for me as Christian Watson, Brian Thomas, and JSN. Chris says, break my team. Let's see here. Not a bad team, man. Not a bad team at all. Full PPR. Yeah, you've got a good squad. Good squad. Well done. Marcelo says, half PPR, 14-man. I'm choosing position 108. Put together the ideal team for you by drafting in this position. Players that you think are left in each round. I really don't know if I understand this question. You have the 108 in a half PPR 14-man league. You want us to put together an ideal team for you. I'm sorry, Marcel. I probably can't break down your draft right here, right now, with so many questions. I hope you understand, but that's why we got rankings on the website. That's why we have our cheat sheet over on the website, which tells you exactly what player I would draft every single time you're on the draft board. That was literally just updated today, the cheat sheet over on the Flock Fantasy website with brand new rankings, sleepers, fades, boom busts, and more. If you want to have access to that, become a Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. I'll put that link in the chat. I'll spam it there. Because you'll literally know every time you're on the board what player I would draft if I was in your shoes. But it's hard to break down your entire draft here without having so many variables that I need to do that. Let's see. Let's see. Next question is, we answered that one. Yes, Aiyuk did get extended. No worries, sure. Got offered, Ruben says got offered JJ for Cup. take Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I'm taking Justin Jefferson even then.
Easy. NK1 says sold Aiyuk for 225 first today. I love that. He says I got 6 first and
Damn.
25 in this rebuild.
Damn.
Is the 25 class that bad? Look, this is probably not the class that I want to load up on picks, but anything can change. Remember, Jaden Daniels came out of nowhere. He wasn't someone we were talking about the year before. Same with Anthony Richardson. Same with Joe Burrow. So anything can change. But hopefully you need running backs because that's the strength of this next class.
Yeah.
Big Lou says week 1 full PPR, Singletary or Ford in the flex. I have Walker, Stevenson as my running backs. Man, I haven't really thought of week 1 yet, Big Lou. I'm not gonna lie to you, man.
I mean, I thought about it. I think of Jerome Ford with the Cowboys. That's a tough matchup, and then you think of Devin Singletary, who's playing the Vikings.
Okay. That's probably easy
the matchup is easier, but like, how's this offense going to be operating, right? You think of the Browns should be able to score some points. Can the Giants score some points? Is Devin Singletary finding the end zone? If I had to say, the tougher matchup is Ford. The safer floor is Ford. But I think the more riskier play is Devin Singletary.
I'd go Devin for sure. If one's playing the Jets. You said
Ford's playing the Cowboys.
The Cowboys, sorry. The Cowboys, yeah. I would go Singletary then. But that could change very easily with some news.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not a bad team, Johnny. Overall good. Guys, just being honest with you guys, the rate the team comments, it's going to be hard for us to do with so many questions to look at everyone's team individually and break it down. Just want to be transparent with you guys. Just giving you a heads up. But we appreciate all of you. We really do. It's incredible that you guys are all here and asking questions and hanging out with us. But transparency is important. What's up, MH? She says, any tips on drafting in an 8-man, 1 quarterback, 2 running back, wide receiver? Yeah, I've talked about this video many times today, but I don't want you guys to think I'm just like pawning you off on a question, but I genuinely think the best answer to these questions is by watching this video that I released called The Best Strategy for Every Single Fantasy Football Draft. I'll paste that link in the chat here. That is exactly how I would draft regardless of what format you're in. You're going to find your format there and you're going to see exactly how I would draft. So watch that video. Lucky says, how do you feel about Gibbs and Achane?
Feel good about Gibbs, not nervous about Achane.
I think it's funny because you can make some pretty easy parallels between these two names, Gibbs and Achane.
Sure.
Both guys who are going to share the backfield on a very good offense, and they're going to split carries. The reason I have more confidence in a Gibbs is because we saw a trend second half of the season last year where he became more and more involved in the red zone, specifically on the goal line. And I still believe that Achane will get vultured by Raheem Mostert, maybe even Jalen Wright. So I think Gibbs relies a little bit less on the splash plays than an Achane might this year. But both players with ridiculously high upside.
Yeah, completely agree. Where else? Who else?
Mario
says I have the 4th pick in one of my leagues, and assuming the top 3 goes CMC, Lamb, and Hill, who would you take at 4, Brees, Hall, or Brown? Technically, it would be Jamar Chase or Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I can understand why you might be a little bit nervous about taking Jamar Chase.
I think if this is a half PPR, or if this is a start 7, Brees Hall is fine there. I would probably go Bijan over Brees personally, if you're going to go running back.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, it would be Amon-Ra or Chase, like you said.
Yeah, I agree. This is half PPR 14 league. I'm choosing position 1 to 8.
I already tried to answer
you did
that
that
one.
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry.
I didn't understand it, but yes, sir, Crime Lord.
Okay, hell yeah. Zoe, who are you picking to win the Super Bowl this year? Go Lions. Maybe the Lions.
Washington Commanders. Put it on the board.
Put it on the board. Sup, fellas? Full PPR star 3 for week 1.
Wow, this is we're
here. Neighbors, Deontay, and Amari Cooper. I think there's no doubt you have to start Richie Rich.
I can't believe we're here where we're answering these questions now. Do I need to? Maybe I need to make my week 1 rankings early because I haven't thought about this stuff yet, guys.
We have to do that maybe over the weekend and just have it ready for start sits on Mondays.
Yeah, on Sunday night.
So DK plays the Broncos. Deontay Johnson. I mean, look, if I had to start 3 based off of just going into week 1, I'm starting Rice, I'm starting DK, and then it's a up in the air between Neighbors, Deontay, and Amari Cooper. Deontay Johnson, you have to see what it's going to look like with Bryce Young.
I think we can rule Deontay out, even though I love him. For me, like looking at this, I feel like I can't sit Cooper, DK. So Cooper and DK are definitely starting. I think Rice is the starter, but Neighbors is also an option there. So he's
Neighbors
playing
is
Minnesota, and they are. Sorry.
Playing Minnesota at home. Amari Cooper at home against the Cowboys. You know, Diggs is back. You know.
Yeah.
I think that's a tough one. I think for sure Rice and DK, but then it's a come back on Sunday night, because we will have more solidified answers then.
Love it, NMB. Lad says, hey, been watching all the videos you guys been put up recently. Never played Fantasy 4. 6 people in the league, so I'm just asking what round should I go tight end and quarterback. In a 6-man league, I'll be honest with you, brother, I'm probably going quarterback round 2 and tight end round 3. Like I'm probably grabbing one player in the first round, and then I'm going to get an elite quarterback and tight end back to back in rounds 2 and 3, because I think those elite ones. Well, honestly though, now that I think about it, Badaki, you're in a 6-man league. There's 6 quarterbacks I love. There's 6 tight ends I love.
Yeah, I mean.
So now that I haven't thought about 6-man enough, but in a 6-team league.
No one's going to be taking like 2 tight ends or 2 quarterbacks at least.
Maybe they do, but maybe round 4 you start taking a quarterback and tight end. Round 4 or 5.
Yeah, think about it. Like you can get that's like you can get Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown. You can get Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, let everyone else determine that for you. So for example, like you're at the 3 spot and someone takes the first tight end, take a tight end in that top range, right?
Yeah, no matter what, that's going to come back to you. Yeah.
Yeah, or Jalen Hurts goes and you're next. All right, take Lamar Jackson. You know, play chicken with the rest of your league, if that makes sense.
Yeah, hopefully that helps. Steven, I have the first pick in the 14 league, and I'm not sure what to do at the 2-3 turn. Any suggestions? It really depends on who's available, brother. I think that's the biggest thing. We don't know who's going to be available at that turn. But in a 14-man league with the 101, I'm assuming you have CMC. And then you think about who's going to come back to you. That could be a Devon. That could be, Olave, Nico, Cooper Kupp, Isaiah Pacheco. And the list really goes on. So best player available, we will say.
For me, it depends on your starting lineup, right? If your starting lineup is a start 7, I might consider a tight end there, right? I might consider a Kelsey, a Laporta at that point. But if it's a start 10, I'm probably hitting up wide receivers. Next one is from Saif, if you want to read that for us.
Yeah, it says, if I'm not trying to trade Anthony Richardson, what are running backs should I aim for? My RBs is Warren. I have Brooks, but would love something better if I can take. Yeah, that's tough.
That is rough. Well, let's see where Anthony Richardson goes in drafts. He typically goes around names like Montgomery, Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara. Those are probably the names you're looking at if you're going to trade Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, maybe it's best to do a different route, but however way that works out for you, good luck, brother.
Defenses says new fan here, just subscribe. Thanks for the content. Thank you
so much, man. Appreciate you. Zoe, 10-team Superflex Dynasty contender have Hurts, AJ Brown, Saquon. Should I try and move Saquon or stick with the crazy Eagles exposure? Look, I would say this. I would be exploring. I don't think that it's going to kill your team. I think it is limiting a little bit of the upside. But like, if all these guys are going to be eating any given week, then it's fine. But I would like to expand my exposure, spread my seed.
Yeah, right? Spread your seed everywhere. Ideally you pivot from Saquon to an Achan or a Taylor or one of those names instead of being so reliant upon one offense, but you don't have to. Don't like trade a first and Saquon to get Achan, for example. Like if a pivot makes sense, then yes.
Yeah.
We did get a super chat from Mr. Trecero Cinco, who has been on the channel for a while, multiple years, and thank you for the donation. Donations do skip the queue. You get your question answered straight away. We appreciate you. He says, my boys, let's get that 20K full PPR. McBride or Kincaid?
Like for week 1 or just in general?
I think probably drafting he's asking. Who do you have higher in your ranking?
I have McBride over Kincaid, but I love Kincaid this year. He's a my guy.
Yeah, I would go McBride as well, but could easily see either one outscoring the other. So I guess my answer is whoever falls later. But typically, if one goes, the other goes next. So just get one of them. Just get one of them is what I'd say. Both great options.
Agreed. Back to the top here. If you guys want to skip the queue, all you have to do is drop a super chat. I think the next one is from
Jeff.
A Hefe. What's up, fellas? Glad you're back. If I have a chance to choose between Breece Hall or Bijan Robinson, who should I pick? Yeah, I have Bijan Robinson over Breece Hall, but pick your poison. I think you can close your eyes and choose one. I don't think there's a wrong answer. I genuinely believe that. Like Breece Hall, RB2 this past year, Bijan Robinson, RB9 this past year with the new offensive coordinator who wants to use him as the CMC. Like CMC, I mean, come on.
I think they're both great options. I do lean Bijan Robinson, but I think they're both really good options. Not to say that anything negative has happened out of New York from coach speak, but all the coach speak in Atlanta is they want to use him like Christian McCaffrey. They want him to be the focal point of the offense. It's just everything you've wanted to hear positively about Bijan, you have heard this year. And yeah, I don't think we've seen his ceiling yet, personally.
Yeah, agreed. To the moon, full PPR, J Love, Jonathan Taylor, Kyron Williams. Okay, what's the thing? Rate my team. We kind of spoke about that, man. Thank you. I mean, it's tough to rate it. It looks good so far. Yeah. I would say that.
Look, just being transparent with you guys, rating teams is tough. I mean, it becomes kind of taxing, and then just being transparent with you guys. If we were to rate everyone's team, then everyone's going to want their team rated, and then all we're doing is rating teams, and we're taking 10 minutes of questions. So I'm so sorry. I hope you understand. We did get a super chat from Daniel, who is skipping the queue with his donation. He says full PPR start 9. Okay, so I guess he wants his team reviewed. Look, you did donate, so we're not going to say nothing here. What do you think about the team?
Let me have a read. Start 9 in the 10-man league. Daniels, Reese, Mostert, Puka, Aiyuk, Waddle, Andrews, 2 flex.
It's stacked. It's stacked, but most 10-team leagues are
stacked. Yeah, I mean, I would say if there's a weakness on this team, it could potentially be Jaden Daniels and your RB2. If we had a nitpick here, right? I think everywhere else is really strong. Puka, Aiyuk, Waddle, Andrews, and a phenomenal tight end. Rashee Rice, Calvin Ridley, phenomenal flex options with Brian Thomas, excuse me. So nitpicking, if Jane Daniels doesn't hit, you're kind of effed. If Raheem Mostert is just a backup to Devon, you're kind of effed. That's kind of the best way we can go about it in saying that, to be honest.
I think if you have Daniels, maybe pick up a Jared Goff with the waiver wire or two tags off the waiver wire, someone like that, just for safety. But what I will say, I love that your wide receiver and flexes are full of wide receivers who can get big points. Okay, Puka, Aiyuk, Waddle, Rashee, Ridley. You also got Reed and Brian on the bench, and you got an elite tight end, which is very important in that format. So yeah, I like it. Thank you for the donation. Donation to skip the queue here. We've got I'm Mediocre, who says, I got J Love and A Rich. Should I be worried about quarterbacks? No, absolutely not.
Yeah, agreed.
Daniel says, thoughts on Debo now with Aiyuk for Dynasty? I like I said earlier in the stream, I didn't change my rankings at all in Dynasty or redraft for any San Francisco player based off of the news. I ultimately believed that there would be a deal done. It worked out. It could have not worked out, but it did. So I haven't really moved them at all in my rankings. Yeah, I don't know. Like, Debo is my like, he's still someone I really like, but he's still one of those veteran receivers.
Yeah, he's the one. Exactly. He's a veteran receiver that's probably ranked a lot lower than Aiyuk currently. Like, clearly, Aiyuk is probably going to be ranked as a top 15, top 12 wide receiver in Dynasty, where Debo Samuel, excuse me, is going to be within like the 25 plus range.
Debo's my
like
wide
maybe
receiver
30 range.
32 in Dynasty right now. And,
So
you got to ask the question, do you want Debo or Worthy in Dynasty? Do you want Debo or Addison? Do you want Debo or Coleman? Do you want Debo or Ladd? Debo or Pickens? So nothing's really changed for me personally.
yeah, agreed there.
Defensor says, I keep finding myself drafting Lamar early 5th in best ball. Please stop me. Hey, it's honestly in best ball, that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty reasonable.
Tingley, do you like Douglas or Polk? Tracy or Wright, and Edwards or Dobbins? For me, it's Polk. I like Tracy because if Singletary goes down, I think he can get the action sooner. And then for me, I like Edwards.
Yeah, in order, it would be Polk, Wright, Edwards for me. That's right, Blue. That's right. I'm Mediocre says, should I start Mike Williams or Keon Coleman? Coleman, Mike Williams is coming off that ACL tear, so let's have low expectations for both of these guys, but definitely Mike. Big Lou says, I've received 3 trade offers already involving Palmer. What am I missing? Well, Palmer's going to be the wide receiver one to start the season. Palmer is a player that I am very excited about, and we've drafted a lot of this year. I think McConkey's the guy to own second half of the season. I think first half of the season, Palmer is going to be very, very good.
Yeah, agreed here. Daniel, full PPR, start 9. We answer that question.
Yep.
Can you guys rank Nico, Debo, Waddle more? For me, is Collins, Waddle, Debo more.
For me, it's Waddle, Collins, Debo more. So we're very, very close on that. Terrio says, did I work out today? I love the accountability. This is the first time in my life I've had public accountability to start working out. No, I haven't.
Boy.
I haven't. And I need you guys to keep coming back on the stream and asking me if I'm working out, because every time I have to say no, I feel a little bit more terrible about myself, which is probably what I need. Okay. It's probably what I need. Sean says, in a head-to-head standard 12-man league, do you have a draft strategy? Definitely watch. I got so many strategies for you guys on the channel. So let me send a couple links for you, brother. The first one is called the best strategy for every single fantasy draft. And then I've got another strategy video, which is the second highest viewed video in all of fantasy football this year. You can go check that out as well. 2 links there. I'm sure that will help with your league. Should I start Drake London or Devonta Smith? Jake says, and it would be Drake London for me.
Yeah, it'll be Drizzy Drake Rogers, no question about it, brother. Come on. Jake Jones. That's American name. What's your name? Jake Jones.
Jake Jones.
Where we got here? Would you guys be opposed to draft? Okay, Danny says, would you guys? I think we answered this already. No, we didn't.
We have.
Would you guys be opposed to drafting Harrison and Malik Neighbors at the 2-3 turn? If Martin Harris is falling to the 2-3 turn, I think that's an absolute steal. No,
that's not what he's saying. He's saying you draft Marvin first round, and then at the 2-3 turn you take Neighbors.
And draft Neighbors. Oh, okay, sorry, I apologize. I thought you were talking about the.
And overall, like for me, I would say I'd prefer not to have that much equity in a rookie wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's kind of going at the. I guess if you want Neighbors, you're gonna have to reach there. But yeah, I wouldn't be doing that personally. As much as I love Malik Neighbors, and I'm a Giants fan.
I don't mind taking Neighbors in the 3rd round, but not if I already have Marvin.
Yeah.
Zoe, no auction drafts yet, but we don't have anything against him. We're just not in any leagues like that.
Yeah.
JC says, am I cooked? My wide receivers are Aiyuk, Metcalf, and Kirk. It's certainly not like the strongest wide receiver room, but I guess it depends on how the rest of your team panned out.
Yeah.
All right, we are going to answer 5 more questions and 5 more questions only, unless there's a super chat. Of course, we'll answer super chat And then, guys, we want you to join us on the Dynasty channel, okay? If you don't know, we do have a Dynasty channel, okay? We will be reviewing people's teams over there. That's going to go live in about 23 minutes, all right? So if you want to see us review people's teams, talk Dynasty football, talk fantasy football, go subscribe over there, and we'll keep going live over on that channel. But we're going to answer 5 more questions and any super chats, of course, but 5 more questions alone. The first one's from Hunter. He says, got Brees and Saquon London. Don't know who to start my flex. Currently have Higgins. Should I swap him for Zamir or Neighbors? Yeah, who do the Bengals play week 1? I'm trying to remember.
The Bengals play the Patriots, so I would personally go T. Higgins. They play at home as well.
Okay.
Especially if Jamar Chase. I doubt if Jamar Chase is not going to play. I mean, if Jamar Chase is not playing, it's T. Higgins absolutely, right? But our expectation is that he will play.
Yeah, I do lean Neighbors if Chase is out there. If Chase is gone, I would agree with Higgins. Jeff says, if CMC's number 1 pick, I have the 2nd pick. I'm thinking about Bijan, Brees, Tyreek Hill. Your thoughts? For me, if it's a PPR format, the pick would be CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb. Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Paco says
3 out of 5.
This is 3 out of 5. Paco says, how do you know when it's time to stop trading and trying to improve your dynasty team and just kick back and enjoy the ride? Probably when you're trading just to trade. All right. When you're trading without a goal in mind and you're just like, I want to trade. Let's do a trade. Mm-hmm. That's probably the point where you're trading too much and you should probably take a step back. That's how I would answer that question. Ian says, start 1, Tank, Dell, Jason, or Godwin. See, this is a good question for the Tank Dell truthers. I guess you're going Dell? No?
Yeah, I mean, Tank Dell, JSN, or Godwin. Yeah, I feel really confident with Tank Dell. Tank Dell playing the Colts,
Washington.
Mm-hmm. And then JSN versus the Broncos.
See, here's my problem with Tank Dell. Like, I could see any of these guys outscoring the other on a week-to-week basis. I love Tank Dell, by the way, but I'm just saying, like,
I guess we're gonna find that out.
Why couldn't Godwin outscore him week 1 versus Washington? Like, why is that not possible? I don't see why that's not possible.
I think I'm just gonna go with the better offense there and better quarterback play for all 3 of these guys, and that's Tank Dell. Okay. But yes, I can see that as well. I think the answer will this whole who's going to be the Texans guy is going to be answered in the next in a week from today. Yeah. Well, not technically today.
Well,
but
I actually think it will be answered in 6 weeks from today. I don't think we can make any solid conclusions just from week 1, right?
Sure.
Is this question 4 out of 5 now?
This is
1, 2, 3. Oh, this is the
3,
last
4.
question. This is 5. Yeah. Shore says, how do you dip your chicken nuggets? How is Vegemite? Vegemite's gross. We won't make that the last question, but Vegemite is not nice. Daniel says, hi, fellas. 10 team, 3 wide receiver. This is the last question for today, guys. 10 team, 3 wide receiver, half PPR. Keeping JT in the 7th, have 101. CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, St. Brown are kept. Was thinking Hill. Yeah, it's got to be Hill. If Hill's available, it's Hill.
Move back 4 or 5 spots and move
take Tyreek Hill, man.
Yeah,
10 team league, take Tyreek Hill. Don't overthink it.
Appreciate you guys, man.
We were about to end the stream, but we did get a super chat. We said if there's any super chats, we will answer them. So appreciate you, 44. He says 10 team, half PPR, 3 wide receivers, 1 flex, 3rd pick. Do you like anchoring Brees or Bijan or go wide receiver? In a 10 team, smaller league, in a half PPR, running backs are a bigger focus. Yep. I am fine with Bijan Robinson there with the 3rd pick. Now, if you were telling me it's a 12-man, it's a full PPR, I'm probably going to go Tyreek Hill. But I also don't mind the idea of starting Tyreek Hill or CeeDee Lamb there. I just think Bijan is totally up for conversation. And if you think your league is going to put a heavier emphasis on running backs, I'm fine with going Bijan Robinson there to start.
Bijan Robinson. Yeah, for me, it will be one of the wide receivers. But like Zach said, if the emphasis on running backs is going to be pretty significant, just take the running back, secure it, because at that turn, that comes back to you at that.
Yeah.
In the 2nd round, there's still going to be some good value there as well.
All right, that is probably it for today, but I just wanted to give a big shout out to Cassius, who's also from Sydney. He says, how do you guys watch the games at 3 a.m.? I ended up doing week 1 and 2, but ended up crashing after week 3. So I personally go to sleep at 7 p.m. every Sunday night to wake up at 3 a.m. Badaki powers through it. I don't know how he does.
I power through week 1. I have a child now. I don't know if I'd be able to do that nowadays, but like the goal is to week 1. I just get too excited, can't go to sleep. And then I'll just go through the whole day.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But we appreciate you, man. It's awesome you're from Sydney. All right. Well, we are ending the stream, but if there are more super chats, we'll keep going. Otherwise, we got to move on and do some other stuff here. There's another super chat from Daniel. We do appreciate you big time, man. A big old $5 there. He says, what do you think about tearing down from Hill and getting another pick in the third, fellas? Because if this is your 10-team league, then I don't want to tear down from Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
If this is the same league you were talking about earlier, 10-team league, that's a smaller league. Elite players win your championships. So if you were in a 14-man, start 10, and you could tear down from Tyreek and just build this awesome squad, great. But in a small league, I want the most elite players I can get.
Agreed. Don't overthink it. I think you have the elite players. Continue to play with them. I mean, if you think about it, the start 8, you tear down from Hill. You no longer have an elite player, but you have a wide receiver or running back that's outside the top 12 in the third, right? Like you have the 1 or 2, the top 3 guy. Just keep him.
Yeah, I agree. All right, guys, we genuinely appreciate all the love, all the support. Again, big shout out to Sal today, who dropped a $100 donation. He is incredible. One of our favorite people in this space, genuinely, and we've only met him once, so he is an incredible person. Big shout out to him. Big shout out to everybody who donated today. Hey, just a heads up, we are about to go live again, literally in like 15 minutes, but it's just on the Dynasty channel. If you guys don't know, we have a Dynasty channel, okay? So I will put this link in the chat for you. We will be live over there in about 15 minutes. Why are we going live over there? Well, we are helping people by reviewing their Dynasty teams. Now, if you want your team reviewed, it can be a redraft team. It can be a Dynasty team. Maybe you just finished your league and you want to know exactly what we would do with your squad. It's very simple. All you got to do is become a yearly Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. I put a link in the chat. That is going to get you a team review, all the access to the premium tools on the website, weekly rankings, trade calculator, etc. And of course, you're supporting Badaki and myself. You're keeping the lights on. So that is it for today's stream. We'll see you on the Dynasty stream. All love.
Love.